What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Windows Basics Part 4. I truly hope that this series has been very helpful for you, for those of you that are just kind of started getting into computers and making that your hobby and wanting to know more about this. So I hope this has helped you along. This Windows Basics Part 4 is going to cover the Task Manager. So what is the Task Manager? Task Manager basically is, how do I put this? Like a system monitor tool. It is found within the Windows operating system. And Task Manager kind of provides information about different processes and programs running on your computer. That's the basics of it. It does a lot more of that, but that's kind of what defines the Task Manager. So let's jump in and get started here. How do you open the Task Manager? Well, there are a few ways. First way, you can just click on your Start button, and this is off of Windows 11. I believe most of these should work with Windows 10 as well. So if I just click on Start, and the search opens up, and I just start typing Task Manager, you see it will pop up there. You can open it that way. The easiest way probably is right-click on your taskbar and click Task Manager. That will also open it. You can also right-click on the Start button and go to Task Manager. It's just right there. That one, I don't know if that'll work on Windows 10. Give it a try and let me know. It's been a while since I've ran 10. And one of the other ways that you can run Task Manager on your keyboard, just hit Control, Shift, and Escape. And that will open it as well. And that's the way I'm going to open it today. Control, Shift, Escape. And there we go. Task Manager popped up. And so let's take a look at this. One thing that I like, because I don't believe this was in the old Task Managers, up here you can do a search. Type a name for the publisher, which means applications or a background process, or even a PID, which is a process ID. Everything running in a operating system, Windows or Linux, has a PID, process ID. But yeah, you can search that here. I don't believe you were able to do that in older versions of Task Manager, so this is pretty handy. So let's just go down the list here, guys. We're going to start on the Processes tab here. Now, the Processes tab is very helpful in a couple ways. First off, you can come in here and you can see all these here, apps. You can see everything running on your system. With that, you can see over here how much CPU usage it's using. Like I'm next to nothing here on everything that's running in my system. You can tell how much memory each one of these apps is using, what it's doing with your disk, how much data it's writing to those disks at a time. And it even covers network stuff. So like if I were browsing Google Chrome right now, this would be doing a little bit more. Other than what it is. So you can do a lot of things here. Say, for instance, you have, here, let's launch Firefox. Let's say, for instance, Firefox is locked up and the X won't close it. Some people even right-click the icon down here and hit close window. But there are times that just simply won't work. And so you have to, in the PC world, it's called kill Firefox. So pretty easy to do. You would just come into your Task Manager. If you have something frozen up like that, come into your Task Manager and you just find it, you right click it, and you hit in task, and it will kill it from here. And then you can just reopen it and start over and hope that it behaves differently. So yeah, this will show you the apps here. And then all the data that is associated with this. And then this up here is great because it overall tells you what your computer's doing. And performance will do this a little bit too, and we'll move to that tab next. But just seeing this right here, you see that about 11 to 13, 12, this percentage is what your CPU is using right now. Your computer's using about 13% of your memory, 1% of your disk performance, that's read writes, and really doing nothing on the network right now. So that's just kind of a quick, easy way to take a quick glance and see what your system's doing. Now, if we scroll down, we see background processes. Now, this is everything that's running in the background of your system. And it doesn't necessarily mean apps. There are some apps in here, but it's mainly things that are associated with apps. For instance, I have an ASUS motherboard. And so there are different ports or parts of the motherboard that need to run software wise. You scroll down, like this is my backup. So that is an app that's running in the background, and just different little things here. You don't really even need to know what all of these are, but just know that some of this stuff does run in the background. Now, below processes, we scroll all the way down. We have Windows processes. Now, this is all the stuff that is running to make your Windows operating system work. That's how you're seeing and booting into Windows. This is everything that it is taking to make Windows work right now. I really wouldn't recommend messing with anything in here. It's everything, pretty much everything in here needs to run and be left alone for Windows to run. There is one exception though, and I think that we've all seen this, especially with Windows operating systems. Sometimes, like, you won't be able to click on the start button. You won't be able to, click on icons and stuff like that. So it can be kind of a bear. So there is a way to kind of fix that without restarting your computer. It usually sits down here and it's called Windows Explorer, but sometimes you'll find it up here. And so all you have to do, say for instance, your system, you can't click icons, you can't click start. You could come in here, right click, and in task. I guess I should explain that Windows Explorer kind of runs what you see, like your desktop, your accessibility to your desktop, your start menu, stuff like that. So if that's misbehaving, you could come in here and restart it or end task. I recommend just ending task because, or I'm sorry, I recommend just restarting because your screen will flash and it will just restart Windows Explorer. You can end task, but you really don't want to go that way. I'll show you what happens. You end task and look what happens. Your desktop goes away, your taskbar, all that good stuff. But don't worry, we can get it back because see this little button up here called Run New Task? You simply click on that. And I happen to know that Windows Explorer is explorer.exe. So just keep that in mind if you ever have to end the task of Windows Explorer. Explorer.exe, count it to run a new task, you hit OK, and it all comes back. But in general, it's popped back down here. All you really want to do or need to do most times is just click restart on that. You'll see your screen blank out. Windows Explorer will start back up. And most likely you'll have access to your icons and your desktop and your start menu. Anyway, that is a little bit just about the processes tab there. Let's move on to performance. Now, performance is kind of, well, it's more than kind of important here. This kind of gives a little bit more of an in-depth look at what your computer's doing, how it's doing, really. So again, if you look, you've got different deals here. So you got your CPU, which is your central processing unit. And again, it's showing us about 9–10% usage, and it will even show us graphs here. So when your CPU kicks in and does CPU things, it will definitely show you a graph. Now, if we move down to memory, this will tell you and show you what your memory's using. So right now, I'm using about 18 gigs out of 128 gigs of memory, or RAM, random access memory, which is 14%. You'll also see a graph when it's pushed to doing something here. 128 gigs is a lot. It's probably overkill for this system, but hey, I got a good deal. So why not? So yeah, you get to see what your memory's doing. If you, let me see, if I open something here, if I open Firefox, it didn't really go up much, but you get the point. So the more that you open, in fact, let me open Edge here, and I'll just do, what are we at there? We were at 18 gigs out of 128. So if I just keep opening tab after tab, what is it? Shift T, I think. me just keep doing this, opening all these tabs. And let's minimize that. Now you see the memory's going up, as well as the CPU usage, because that was at about 10. And so, see, this is a great indicator of what your system is doing. Now, we can move on. This is your hard drive. Now, for me, this is a mechanical hard drive that just holds data. There's really nothing writing to it right now, so I'm not too concerned about it. And same with this one, really nothing writing to it. Now, this is my primary disk, and there is being writing to it because I'm recording this video and I'm using OBS down here to do that. So it is writing data. And as you can see down here, it will give your read speed, your write speed, stuff like that. Ethernet is cool because it shows you what your internet is doing. And that's all probably from me opening those tabs on Firefox. This Ethernet 3 is doing nothing because I believe that's my Wi-Fi. And then GPUs, graphics processing unit, which is my video card. So yeah, this is a really nice place to see what your system's doing and how much resources it's using. To take it a step further, you could actually click these three dots here and click Resource Monitor. Let me drag that over here, opened on another screen. And this goes a little more in depth, kind of exactly what we just saw here, but it gives us CPU usage. Over here, it gives those graphs. You can kind of see this all in one little place here. And they even got, different tabs up here for you to see what's taking your memory, what's taking your CPU, etc., etc. So that's a nice little feature as well. Now, if we move on, app history is kind of cool because you can kind of go in here and you can look at all the history of your apps and you can see how much CPU time it has used, what it was doing on the network, how many megabytes it used on the network, notifications. I'm not real sure what that is, but a lot of people don't go in here, but it is useful if you want to pop in there. Now, the next tab, Startup Tabs, is pretty neat because I've seen a lot of people boot up their computer and complain from slow boot times. And when I get in there to look, it's because they have like 20 applications running in the background or set to run on startup. And so it's taken up all their memory. So you can come in here, your startup tab, and you can kind of sort this by what's not enabled versus what's enabled. I've only got a few things on mine that are enabled, but say all this stuff was enabled, and that's just taking up your memory when you start your system. So what you would do is you would just click that, and you would come up here and hit disable or enable if you wanted to enable it. But yeah, this takes up memory. A lot of people don't realize the amount of RAM, random access memory, it's taking to have everything that you have in your computer start up when the computer starts. It's not necessary. I prefer just to open the programs manually as I need them. All right, next tab is users. Now, this is kind of a great tool to have. I'm the only user on this machine, but if I had a machine where multiple people logged into it, I could actually click this little arrow here next to their name and see everything that they're doing, that they've done, how much RAM they've used, etc., etc. You could even right-click it and completely disconnect them from the system, and then you can manage their user account too. So that's pretty cool. Now, details is kind of like processes, but way more in depth. As you see, it gives username, CPU, how much memory, gives you a description, what architecture, etc., etc. So that a lot of people don't use that, but it is handy. And the last is services. There is a separate services for Windows. If you just search services, and you could open that up, and it's basically the same, but they have put it in one location now. They've added it to Task Manager, so you can do all this in one single location. So yeah, you can stop and restart services from here. It's pretty convenient. Let's go back to performance here. One last thing I wanted to show you on this is down here. You got basically what you're seeing up here. But one thing it does show you is what the base speed of like your CPU is, how many cores, and it will even tell you the uptime of your computer, which means how long your computer has been running since you last booted it up. For me, it's 3 days, 4 hours, 2 minutes, and 42 seconds. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on. I use this a lot at work because sometimes it comes into question, hey, how long has this server been running? If it's a Windows server, I can just go here and see how long that server's been running. If it's Linux, all you do is type uptime in the Linux command line. That'll give you that information as well. Special bonus tip for you guys. Anyway, guys, that is it. I hope that this episode of Windows Basics Part 4 covering the Task Manager has helped you out. If you are enjoying this series, please let me know by giving me a like. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing for future content. Thanks, guys.